Hello guys, welcome back to another Lumley trading video. In this one we're going to be going through our daily recap for August 27th, 2024. So to get straight into it, we'll go with the Discord and you can see everything we posted for the day. So again, August 27th, 9:25 market time. Again, this is Eastern Standard Time. So we're looking long bias for the day, range to fill on the QQQs and to target the upside gap fills on the NQs. Again, we will look long on the pullback. So any pullbacks we get in the market, we are looking to long those. And again, just put this more of a thing when it was definitely harder to place stops over on the futures on this one, and that's why I kind of wanted to know that here. This is way easier to manage the risk over on the options. So I did want to point that out because again, on this, and again when we go through it, I'll show you why it was harder to manage risk on the futures. Again, we provided all these levels. This was the range we expected to fill on the Qs. So that's 475 and 8 cents to 475 and around, I think that's 95 cents. So we expect the price to push up to there on the Qs. Going over onto the NQs, what you can see is we had our first gap here, here, and here. Again, we'll go through these on the chart. This one is definitely not that important. We expect to push to there, maybe a pullback off here. But overall, that is definitely... We don't want to say 100%, nothing's 100% in the market, but that is definitely like a 99% quick, easy target. These runs were a lot more important because they would be roughly around that same range on the QQQ, so they were much nicer of a target to trade to. Now we continue down. Again, we just talked about that first TP being hit again. That provided a nice pullback. And this is how we would look to enter on the futures. So we wait for this gap and we see the reaction. Sometimes you might have to chase these a bit. You break above, you test it as a support, and then we can long over to these. On the other case, like here, where you just fail off this level, what you tend to see then is a stop wipeout. So people have stopped placing at the pre-market lows. You expect this to get broken. It'll fake you out. It will trigger all those stops. You then get that buying pressure, so you'll push up slightly. And then what you tend to do is you get one more swipe down for people who try to get that long, and you get swiped out there, and then you tend to be long biased. So what happened basically here, actually you can kind of see it anyway, is again that move went all the way down here. Actually, and the futures went all the way down here. Again, you wipe that pre-market low, you hit your stops, you get that bullish candle. What happens? You come down, you test it one more time. That is kind of where those stops wipe out, so it creates a new bullish pressure, and then that is where the actual low can now go. And again, we target these upside gaps. They're not, but again, definitely easier to manage over on the futures. I mean, on the options. There we go. Bottom of the range touched. The NQ gaps have filled the first one. Taking profits here. Now it's a guaranteed green day, so again when we say this, we've taken the bulk of profits. We're also we may take some more trades, but we're never risking the money we've made on the day or all of it. So we're only risking a percentage of profits for the rest of today's plays. Again, pushed into the range over on QQQs, and you can see obviously that gap filled over on the NQ futures. And then on the next push, again we get a slight pullback, then push range is complete. And then again, we can target that higher NQ target, which will fill right after normally. And again, done with done with the best setups of the day. So again, these are going to be our A-star setups. Again, whenever we give you a range, that is going to be a really good high quality setup. After that, again, we're only risking profits because they're nowhere near as high probability. So that was kind of the main things we posted in Discord. Now we'll just kind of go over the last things I was kind of looking at for the day. Again, only risking profits on these because they're nowhere near as good setups as what we gave earlier in the day. But again, all we did was post a VIX chart, which we'll go through, and also things we can look at on the NQ. So basically here, VIX has upside targets, so these upside gaps. Now when VIX goes up, the NQs tend to go down. And well, NW meaning NQ has gaps to the downside. Both paint to show that we should pull back on SPY and NQ, but still be careful as it was a bullish bias today. So again, when we give you a bias that is very bullish for the day, me personally, just so I don't mess up with my psychology, I don't really like to trade these pullbacks too much. So really, I probably won't even trade this myself. But again, some people like to kind of flip between their positions. I'm not the greatest at it. I like to just have one bias for the day and kind of stick with it. So we will go through these charts now so I can show you roughly what we're looking at. So, and again, when we're trading these options, by the way, I was using the 475 calls. You get one at the open, one on the kind of that swipe I talked about, we get the stop wipeout. And then again, you can target the algo range, which would have been this range here, and the top of the algo range up there. So again, if your average is roughly in that middle area, which is most likely where most people's are going to be, first target was around 90%, second target around 150, and then then the range is done for the day, up 150% on the options. Lovely. Now, things I wanted to go over. So we go over to the futures. We have these two gaps to kind of fill to the downside, but we also do have upside gaps. So we do have the 50 SMA here. This tends to be a magnet. We didn't get a retest on it when we broke through yesterday. So if we go to yesterday's chart, we broke through, no retest. So that is a high probability push that we get to there on the NQs. Again, not really far from here, so not something I would buy in now to try and target that. But if we do come down to these gap fills before we hit that 50 SMA, then that could be some nice entries. But overall, we have these two targets to fill to the downside, and we do still have some upside gaps to fill on the NQs. Now, when we look at VIX, again, VIX is essentially the fear index. It's the opposite, it will inverse NQs most of the time. We have an upside gap here, upside gap here. So what tends to happen with these is VIX will like to fill these. So that means VIX has to push up. If VIX has to push up to fill both of these gaps, what has to happen to NQs? NQs has to fall, and these targets should line up pretty well with the NQ gaps, with the gaps on the VIX. So as the VIX pushes up, we should look for entries at these. So again, I would probably get some small size here and another entry here to long up if this has not been hit. If this kind of 50 SMA gets hit now, then I'd probably be a bit less likely to take these longs, but otherwise we can take these longs, again keeping for the long bars for the day, touch that 50 SMA, go for that 740 gap fill, and then the two gap fills up here, kind of at the 820s. We probably won't get a push all the way to these today, but if we do, they are targets. So again, main game plan then, if we continue to trade from here, again, it would only be profits. It's longing these sorts of levels or longing these two gap fills, and then just trying to trade that upside push. Again, we actually just hit these, so I'm not as keen on these now, but again, maybe small size would still be all right, just to target these upside gaps. Now, if these upside gaps get filled first, then don't even bother with these gaps, or I'm not going to personally bother trading these gaps, just because again the bias was long. So if our targets or some of our biases for the reason to the upside are now gone, we don't really want to be buying into that move with more money. So again, if these get filled up, again, I'm going to ignore these levels for today and see what we can trade for tomorrow, because again, we don't need to force anything. Last thing I'll go over, we didn't actually post this in the Discord, but again, it is the same thing every day. I don't really post it as much because it is the same thing every day, and also these levels change throughout the day, so it's hard to kind of pinpoint. It's not like the range I give you, which is set penny to penny. With these change. So again, we have our untouched anchors. You expect to get a push to these on the day. You can see that first high in the first minute did that, dropped, and then we tested the second one. So now both of these can be removed, and we're done. What you can then do is change these anchors to somewhere where it's not being touched. For example, today low. So we would expect a touch of this either today, or that will be a nice target for tomorrow. Again, right now it's at 475.11. Give that 5 minutes, that's already going to have changed by quite a few cents. Same thing with this. SPY, you had that target, and that target. So what happened? All of these got filled. So again, you can delete these. We can move the green support anchor view up to that low of day. And again, same thing with this. We would expect this to get touched. Right now it's at 559.92. But again, as SPY pushes up, if it continues to, this level will change and increase as well. That's why we don't really post these as much now. And they're very easy to do yourself. You just go on TradingView, place the anchors. And again, you can see and keep up to it in live market conditions, because again, they will change. But that is the overall trade plan, or what was the trade plan for the day. Again, all posted in Discord before we did it. Right bias, again, we started these, I think today's Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. So we're posting these exactly for a week now. Every single day in Discord, we have been correct on the bias. So again, free to join in the description if you want to. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and that's it. Peace.